Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Antonio's blog. And Antonio is within a couple weeks of a meet now. He has a meet coming up, rather than really structure this blog for him, I'm just going to put a bunch of clips of him training through here. We're going to discuss a little bit about the strategy that we use and getting him ready for a meet given his schedule, because Antonio goes to school full time, he works. He has a lot of different things going on. His schedule gets changed around. We don't always get the workouts when we want them. Sometimes we have to lump stuff together. It gets to be really a disorganized mess. Yet at the end of the day, we always pull it together for him. And it's just kind of funny because the way that I coach Antonio is actually quite a bit different from my other competitors. But as you guys see, we're doing more max effort days, a lot more of them going into his meets. Because quite frankly, he benefits from them. So you'll notice all through here, we use a lot of close variations for the max effort work. So we tend to do double maxes. Even on bench press, we're not really doing speed work for him going in. He doesn't get a lot out of speed bench. He personally gets a lot more out of just coming in and doing volume. Plus, with that shoulder injury, which again, he fell down and slipped on the ice, banged his shoulder up really bad a few weeks ago, right here in the middle of meet prep. It's not a good idea for us to be doing speed benching, so we tend to do just a lot of heavy benching and then pause rep work. But for max effort stuff, we're having a lot of times where we're not really even doing dynamic lowers for him. We're coming in and doing double max and just hypertrophy work after that. So we tend to, oftentimes for him walking into this meet, if we're going to do a squat and a deadlift max both, we'll do the competition type lift for one of the maxes, and then we'll do a variation for the other. So let's say on a day where he's going to do a competition squat, we'll do a competition squat, then we'll do a deadlift variation, and so on and so forth. If we're going to do a sumo deadlift, we will tend to do a variation of the squat that is not going to be his competition one. So if you'll notice with some of this here, this again, pretty competition bench, although this is a closed grip with a pause, and you'll see others where we're coming in doing band work and things. So the same thing, like if you guys saw that max effort squat right at the beginning, we did a cambered bar to a box, but on that same day, he did a sumo deadlift. And you'll see his sumos all the way through here. Now, Antonio pulls sumo at meets. Conventional has always been a weak link for him, right? It's always been a weak link for him. So we tend to do sumo, but he's a wide stance squatter. He's always been stronger on sumo. His squatting, as you guys will notice, all his squats are ultra wide. His belt squats, even when we put those in, he takes them way out. Again, he's one of those lifters that gets a lot out of wide stance movements, right? He has very strong hips. He's always had those. And we found that really early on with him. And to put it into context, when I first started working with Antonio, he had never hit a 300-pound squat. Okay, so we go back over a couple years. He was squatting like 275, 280 as a max. Get him into some structured programming and things like his squat just climbed. The squat just climbed. Another thing to note, with Antonio, he doesn't always train year round. Again, his life has been really, really busy. He likes the powerlifting. He enjoys it. But for him, it's not always the highest priority. So again, he represents the perfect example of what about people who want to compete, but it really isn't an ultra high priority for them. They have other stuff going. They can't even always train consistently year round. You still make it work because we get in and we do phases where he trains really hard. In other words, he goes months where he only gets to the gym once a week, twice a week. Yet here we are, inching up on a 500 squat. And he's a younger guy. He's a student and everything. I want to say he's 22, 20. Is he 23 now? Right? we make it work. So what he tends to do, he goes back to just remedial training, gets in what he can, and then when he says, hey, I want to do a meet, a lot of times he starts training really hard 12 weeks out from the meet. We start doing the stuff we're doing now, where we really push the hard conjugate stuff. He's coming in hitting all this max effort work. We make sure we get all of our other supplemental work in. I have him live on good mornings. We do a lot of good mornings. We do a lot of belt squats. We do a lot of reverse hyperextensions. Depending on what access he has, because again, based around his schedule, he can't even always get to the powerlifting gym. So a lot of times he's training at home and just doing some of the basics, stuff he can get away with here with bands and other stuff. Right? We make it work, but the theme is always the same. What does our training look like with him? Max effort. Okay, max effort. Speed work he doesn't always do year round. I like to have him do speed work because it really represents weak link for him. Antonio's always been strong, but he's never been fast. So I always like to force him to do speed work to try to make him fast. But this shows us where he is coming into the meet, right? Coming into the meet. The work he's doing coming in, this is spread out over about a 10-day period. And it ended up being about 4 workouts in one training week. But getting some decent sumo max effort pulls and stuff in. Some of these are ramp ups shown through here, building up to his peak sets. And then the other thing that we're going to do after this meet, he's going to trim down. He's like, I don't want to do these heavier weight classes. For those curious, he usually does the 242, the 110 kilo junior. It's what he has frequently done, but he doesn't necessarily water cut for it. He'll water cut just for a better Wilks score, meaning he might be 240 and then drop 6 or 7 pounds. Right? So his weight class that he does is actually, he could walk into it at any time. Right? There have been times where he did a small water cut, down to 228, which still puts him above the 220. But I think he said at this point, he's like, I really think I need to just diet down, lean down, maybe compete at 198, maybe the 220. But I think for him, if he just trims down, the 198 is doable with minor water cuts. Right, it's worth doing. Here we are doing his good mornings. He prefers a wider stance on these. He does well with it. With good mornings, again, we come back over to him being a wide stance squatter. So what do we see with his good mornings? He doesn't do well with a narrow stance. In fact, he struggles to get range of motion. We end up doing a really light weight. He ends up having a rounded back, all sorts of problems on it. We take him to a wider stance, he just gets locked in easier. So again, some of these things, it's about knowing your lifter knowing their body. Not everyone is built to do certain stances and positions. Right? And even then, I always joke with him that his sumo deadlifts are really an RDL. They're almost a Romanian deadlifted down, or almost a stiff leg. But, he still tends to be stronger that way. And it's not even a hip mobility thing for him. He, again, notice he can go pretty deep on all this stuff. Competition squats, we've had plenty of mid 400s, 460, 470 squats where he's almost asked to grass with a wide stance. But here's his training. This is what we're doing walking into meet. We're hoping to get some meet PRs in spite of the shoulder issue we had going in. We're just trying to get his training in and keep him in a flow in the middle of his busy schedule. But we're making it work, and he's making it work. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.